Hi folks, you're with us today, Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about just one example of very aggressive anti-white, anti-male, anti-Christian hiring policies in this this school district, within the education department. Now, a few of these stories have come up pretty close together, almost at the same time. So I'll sort of do a hybrid, if you like, of all these stories, but focusing on one in particular. Now, a whistleblower exposed this the head of this district, who was a straight white male himself, by the way, but a rabid activist, and he had a blanket policy of not hiring straight white males and not hiring any Christians. And a policy of hiring, or policy and practice of hiring only people from minorities. So if you were the proverbial one-legged black lesbian, the job was yours. And of course, he wasn't hiring qualified people, as in qualified educators. Instead, he was hiring rabid activists to push a rabid activist agenda, pushing, race hustling and gender hustling, LGBTQ hustling, and the 1619 project, and all white people in that, and so on and so forth. So very much a very, very aggressive, actually very aggressive agenda, anti-white, anti-Western, pushing mass migration is a good thing, and so pretty much this guy is talking the talking points of the globalists. If you went to the World Economic Forum and say, give me your talking points, this guy is really pushing those talking points. So clearly he has the tacit support, if not the direct support, of the establishment, the Western nations now. They're all their political apparatus, or pretty much, is controlled by the globalists and the World Economic Forum sort of amalgam there. And so he's really doing what is wanted by the globalists, spreading race division, gender division, dividing us by sexuality. But any way you can slice and dice social division, they're practicing it in this thing. He's hiring people, aggressive activists, that will push this activism. So anyway, whistleblower exposes this, and so it comes out into the open, and the mainstream media, the globalist controlled mainstream media, as you can imagine, don't touch it, and yet some channels do, and the independent media do cover it because it's outrageous. White applicants are just being not even considered, regardless of how well qualified they are. Now, what happened to this guy, though? Once the media coverage reached a certain sort of threshold and gathered a certain momentum, again, the globalist control media wouldn't touch it. But if anything, there's a few of the globalist media actually came out in defense of him, saying that he was only trying to implement social justice, and all the people trying to stop him were all Nazis. The usual talking point stuff they come out with there, as absurd as it is. But anyway, they decided that the guy had to be suspended for 12 months. The way it reads, he's probably on pay. He's probably being paid. So he's suspended for 12 months, being paid. The guy's on a decent salary. Looks like he was installed there to do what he ended up doing. So I think he was doing what he was told to do, or at least what they expected someone of his ilk to do. Assume that he could engage in rampant activism on the taxpayers' dime, which he did. So he only got a 12-month suspension, it looks like, with pay, and he has to attend some sort of a course, some 6-week course on ethics. I think it's 1 day a week for 6 weeks. He's got to pay for this himself, and it's hardly going to be punitive to him. And then the way it reads, at least, he's available. He's going to go back to work. So he's not struck off. He's not struck off the record or something. He can go back into the education profession One imagines at the same level that he. So really, he got. But given what he was doing, breaking fuck knows how many laws, and brazenly so, breaking goodness knows how many laws. There's no prosecution against him. The state attorney general isn't district attorney general isn't going after him. The prosecutors aren't chasing him. He's got nothing. It's a slap on the wrist. And given that he's being paid to have a 12-month vacation, then you've got to say it's even less than a slap on the wrist. So now let's look at the other side, where there's a school district that employs people on merit only. Now, because they employ on merit only, there's very few minority teachers. There's no lesbian teachers. There's one or two gay teachers, but they keep their politics to themselves. There's hardly any black teachers. Pretty much all the teachers are white. There's quite a lot of Christian teachers in the mix because they're the best qualified. But instead, that school district and the head of the school and the school board and all these sort of people come under withering attack. They're fucking Nazis. They're fucking fascist. Fucking Hitler. They are all personally Hitler. So you say, well, hey, what's going on here? Why? And the guy was, the school board was got rid of. The head guy was fired for being a racist or something because he hired people on merit. And why wasn't he doing high sort of, why wasn't he doing affirmative action and pushing that hard? And so that guy's out, and it appears he can't be a teacher again or be in the education profession again every door. Yet he's committed no crime. He's broken no law and has behaved perfectly reasonably, providing the best quality educators for the children. So you think he'd be celebrated and applauded and protected and looked after. Instead, it was a media frenzy going after him. Simply for hiring the best quality applicants. So this just shows the double standard. But it got me sort of thinking. I had a look at teachers who've been fired, but only after there's been very considerable pressure applied. The education department wanted to protect open lesbian activism in the classroom. This is a classroom of 7 or 8 year olds. This sort of thing. Heavy pushing of rainbow flags and the whole 9 yards, and they've been fired for very inappropriate and very illegal behaviour, breaking laws that are on the statute books, breaking the policies, the written policies and procedures of the education department. But they get fired, and you'll note that they just go to the education department, looks after them. They allocate them another job at another school, and they do exactly the same thing. Maybe the school's out in another district or an adjacent district, or maybe they go interstate. But the teachers' unions, very powerful as they are, make sure that these activists, these angry, aggressive, I hate all white people, I hate families activists, are given another job somewhere immediately. It's not like they've got some sort of, and the unions will then negotiate or hassle the previous school district to give them a severance payout, a compensation payout, because they've got the cost of moving house maybe, or moving to, and that's all paid for. So they're not out of pocket by a penny. In other words, they don't suffer at all, other than the irritation and annoyance that they were held to account for a very brief period of time. Other than that, they have no penalty to pay. But on the other side, if you want to do hire people based on merit, they'll come after you, and you may never work again in that profession. You've been with Tacitus today, your pushback challenge. Thank you for listening.